So I'm only just learning also, but they're creating an ice stupa. They're setting the foundation for an artificial glacier. So now in the freezing months, they'll pipe water through this metal structure in the middle, and it'll spray water all around. They'll put thorn bushes probably around the wooden structure that they're building now, all of this Salspalulu, and that will create a lot of surface area to catch the water. So it'll freeze into a sort of big mound of ice that will remain pretty well into the springtime. And as it melts, it'll fill their pond over there, and that they can use to irrigate the gardens and the trees in the early springtime. Especially in these villages, Phiang and Pei, water is pretty tight in the springtime, and so these ice stupas harvest water now when it's abundant in the winter, and just sort of free that resource in the springtime when everyone really needs to be watering fields and tree plantations. I think to the broader question of foreigners living in Ladakh, it was something we were very concerned about the first time that we came. And I remember, like, we came without a camera. We came, like, just thinking, like, we didn't want to be aliens here. We wanted to come and in the best way that we could be sort of consistent with the life that was going on, and so in that way, like, try and be of service to it.
When we first came, it was like April 1st, I think, and we showed up, and the very next day was the first day of plowing. And so that's a time of year when everybody's been more doing their own thing for the winter. It was really an auspicious time to come because everybody was coming back together, working together to plow those fields. And the young people were around, so we got to meet, a bunch of people our age, and there were children as well, and folks were singing in the fields. I remember, they were excited to meet us, and they were excited that we wanted to come and work, and we knew we could say a little bit in Ladakhi, and we could understand things maybe after like 4 or 5 repetitions, so we were really like children in a way.
I think that a desire to learn, I think a lot of wonder and curiosity and respect for what exists here already is maybe the baseline that I would hope people are arriving with. I think that a readiness to experience discomfort is something that I wish for really everybody. I think that everyone in the world would benefit from like a little bit more leaning into that. And so if you're ready, if you're coming to a place with a readiness to be in a bit of discomfort, whether they're because of existing conditions there or just difference from your own life way, you're going to be able to ask less. You can be a little bit more responsive to the people that you're meeting and the ways that things are, and maybe be a little bit more ready to help out rather than like need a lot of help and assistance. So I would hope that those things might be present in people who are coming to Ladakh. And yeah, I think just appreciation for what does exist, and maybe a healthy pause before wishing anything to be different, either for like their own experience or well-being or comfort.
Ladakh has really changed us, and so coming back, our perspective is different. And I think that affects our relationships there, our dialogue there, what we choose to do there as well. I think that like the way my parents started me off with like what to look for in life, like what's essential, hasn't changed a huge deal. I think they gave me a pretty good start in that way. But my understandings of the realities of today, both in terms of our history and in terms of current realities, continues to change and continues to grow. Yeah, like viewing the United States as a colonized place, and that is really significant, is an important thing that's come about for me in the last 6 years since we've been back from Ladakh. Even to continue living there, we have to reckon with our history. We have to learn how to be real about it. And that's hard, because a lot of our habits in the United States are built up on ignoring that history and thinking that we're entitled to the land, thinking that we're entitled to, what it is that all the resources that we have there. But again, I think this circles back to lessons in Ladakh that we see, which is that when you're in a small community and you only have access to what's right around, you're really grateful for what you have. Like when the wild garlic is up in the mountain, you can go get it and bring it back. Like that's a big deal. Like that makes your food really good. And so yeah, it's complicated.
In some ways, tourists from abroad are like the least of the influences from outside. There's so many others pouring in, whether it's TV or computer or, all of these different points of access. But for myself as a foreigner, I feel a wish to sort of trouble a paradigm where foreigners are this symbol of like abundance and a certain kind of status or like privilege and education, and so that like makes them the ones who can just like be freely moving about and not need to work and not need to do the carry water, whatever it is, do the sort of like heavier tasks of living. And it's something that I also am trying to do in America, like also in our home in America, we don't have electricity or running water. We are trying to move something in the life of the world in this time, trying to turn something over. Because it does feel very out of balance to have some people with tremendous access to freedom and privilege and ease of life, and others who just need to work very hard with their bodies all the time. So in the choices that we're making, in the way that we're trying to live in our lives, either in America or in Ladakh, we're hoping that we can somehow shift not only a perception, but also a reality of who has access to what and how that feels. If we felt like we weren't of benefit here, if we felt that we were just receiving and not able to give, I think that we would choose not to come back. And it's complex, and especially with like the gas that it takes to travel and fly across the world, and the glaciers are melting. It's a hard question, for sure. Does it make sense to come and live here? But I really hope that perspective, just having someone from another realm come, and for better or worse, I am someone who's studied, I am someone who has like done these things that are esteemed in a certain way, to come and say like, what you're doing is amazing and it's so precious and essential. We really need it so much. I hope that can be beneficial. And I think that our love of Ladakh and a Ladakhi way of life, I feel like love can't help but bring some benefit when it shows up, and we really love this place so much.
It's the sort of thing coming from our context that we were like, oh my God, this is a like beautiful, big, like broad scale artwork with earth and water that's being practiced every spring. And they've had to do this to survive. And so the strength of that is in it. And also, like, what a beautiful thing. Like, to us, it's like, oh man, what an amazing thing to do with one's life. Like, I feel like so many people in the United States and industrialized places are lacking that connection with earth and water. And it has this effect on our minds and on our health that's, it's difficult and it's dark. And so, like, wow, that's a practice that really helped us just in our hearts just to see and be part of.
I feel my life, at least, really sort of fundamentally grounded in the agricultural work in the village. That's where I want to be the most. But if there's any way that our presence here can help to bring new energy and life, and specifically young Ladakhi energy, into the village and into villages throughout Ladakh, then we're willing to do sort of whatever it takes to make that so. So there's a lot of mystery too for me in what might be happening in the years to come. And however it is, whatever collaborations end up coming to fruit, whether it's with Sekmol or Hayal or what have you, we really hope that it can be something that that feels very beneficial for Ladakhi young people and Ladakhi elders, and also, this land, this place. I mean, my longing, which is different than what I think should happen, but what my heart wishes for the world is that all of these young people with this energy and this sight would bring it back to their villages and, put their hands into the earth there and also bring something new to flower, build, what if every village had a school building this intelligent and it was a place that the young people really wanted to be, and so they could come together. Like that seems like a paradise to me, that imagination. And also I know that my imagination is limited, and it's been a choice for me my whole life, whether I was going to stay in a small town or move to a city. And the thing I didn't have a choice about was living in a self-sustaining rural community. That wasn't an option that was open to me. And so of course that's what I want now. And maybe if what had not been available was an urban life with a certain amount of ease and comfort, that's what I would be longing for. I'm not sure.
I feel like I'm representative of a population that has benefited a huge amount from capitalism, from commercialization, from colonization, and has come to understand that that those drives are not all where it's at. That there's deep negative effects that come alongside with that, and that balance, seeking balance, is more important than seeking our own profit. I grew up with everything I needed, and I also grew up with a garden outside and a composting toilet, which is very odd for the part of the world where I grew up. But I've had access to amazing education, all these opportunities, travel, and I want people to have that also. But those don't bring happiness. And I think there's a strong delusion that's put out there that does, that those things in themselves are going to make us happy. So, so in terms of Ladakh, I really have come here, even though I've had all this abundance, right? I'm still coming here as a seeker. I'm still hoping to learn. I'm still seeking, what is it that is going to let us have sustainable communities and also have practice in our lives that are going to make us all happier together. I really do think we have to do it all together. So it's odd to be all the way across the world. And then again, I'm just another human being that's trying to figure things out. So I mean, the short answer is I do not know. I don't know what my effects are here exactly. I don't know what role I have to play. But I'm experiencing receiving this welcome here, making friends and enjoying that process, and then just being in dialogue and having conversations, and that's what I'm hoping for, is trying to figure things out together. Because I think dialogue between cultures it can be very beneficial.